Here is a 2023 Lexus RZ450e direct four-wheel or all-wheel drive in eminent white. Is this the same thing as the Toyota bZ4X? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and that's what I'm going to go over. This starts off with 107 horsepower more, 124.7 more pound-feet of torque. It will have some similar attributes because it's the same platform and powertrain underneath. We do not receive a frunk, which is the same thing in the Toyota and Subaru, because Lexus illustrated that the front motor gearbox control e-axle is positioned vertically for packaging purposes and eliminates the frunk. The rear e-axle setup lies flat to maximize the cargo space to nearly 60 cubic feet. We have the bi-LED headlamp setup that brushes into the gloss black and the side curtain. I do like the futuristic look that it opposes in the front fascia, because you know it's electric and you know it's a Lexus because of the enlarged grille. They do have the same similarity to the hood scoops as the bZ4X. The same clearance also at 7.9 inches, 221 pounds more than the bZ4X, which will give you that charging time a little bit longer, 10 hours from a 0 to 100% at a level 2 or a 240 volt. If you do a 120 volt, you're looking at 50 hours, which is the same exact thing as the bZ4X. This one's going to weigh more because it's going to be a little bit more luxurious. This is more of a true four-wheel drive also, whereas the bZ4X has 3 different motors to give us that four-wheel drive system. 0 to 60 in this is at 5 seconds. Your MPGs will be a little less at 102 for the city and 87 for the highway. 20-inch split 10-spoke alloy wheels with black and machine finish. Independent McPherson strut with coil springs and shock absorbers with a stabilizer bar for the front, and the rear is a multi-link suspension. Electronically controlled braking with integrated regenerative braking. And what I like about the Lexus is they keep the gloss black element. So the same futuristic style, but it's easier to keep it nice and polished, especially in the heat of Florida, because you got the gloss black instead of the matte black on the side view mirrors. All the windows are acoustic when you go into the premium. The luxury will not receive that for the premium. The bZ4X will have the same suspension components, except Lexus goes a touch more because it's that butter soft suspension touch. It will still have a similar ducktail rear spoiler as the bZ4X and the split roof rear spoiler that is optional on the Limited for the bZ4X, and that will integrate into the Blade LED tail lamps. And Lexus does do it a little bit better because it's more luxurious and stylish on the exterior, not just futuristic. Front and rear parking sensors, a 360-degree reverse camera, Lexus 3.0 safety sense, power liftgate going into 27.3 cubic feet of storage. We get the storage net, a 12-volt charger. Easy to remove this to make it a little bit more accessible to go underneath. And you have a storage compartment with another area with some storage nooks. Split fold the rear bench at a 40-60 split to increase cargo to 55.6 cubic feet. It is a wide opening with loading around 3 feet of clearance. Ultra suede interior, 10-way power seats for the driver, heated ventilated front seats, memory for the driver. The passenger gets an 8-way power seat adjustment. Toyota and Subarus will not have the fully digital gauge panel positioned as it is in the RZ, as well as the center infotainment and the climate control screen. 14-inch touchscreen with navigation. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is wireless. Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth audio, Wi-Fi hotspot, and everything else will be configured through the infotainment screen. Wireless charging pad, a total of 5 USB ports. Click the view button and this will be your bird's eye view. Put it into reverse with 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory. You can take the lines on or off. The more cleaned up center gets the gloss black and the wood inlays. The key fob for the Lexus RZ. Soft where it needs to be, opens up two different angles. Easy for the driver and easy for the passenger, which is one of the best in class. 3-spoke leather wrapped steering wheel, multi-function with the adaptive cruise control, more or less derived out of the NX, except for the camera system here for the semi-autonomous driving. The gauge cluster is also positioned different than the bZ4X. It's more clean, fully digital reader with a 10-inch heads-up display, which is optional for the premium. An array of information goes through that 10-inch heads-up display. We do not receive a glove box, but we have optimal storage with the pass-through and a 12-volt that will be on the passenger side. The pano glass room with dynamic sky option, which means when you push this, you can see. Push it again, and it filters everything out. 10 speakers come standard, 13 speakers with 1800 watts throughout the cabin with Mark Livingston. The door panels integrate into the dashboard, and you have the push to get out, or you just simply pull the lever twice. One touch up and down for all the windows. It's going to be soft materials everywhere because this is Lexus. Storage pocket with the beverage holder in the front. Headroom at 39.9 inches. Legroom is going to be 42.1 inches, and you can see it's a wider opening for the footwell for both of the front occupants. For the back seat, headroom at 39.7 inches. Legroom at 37.5 inches. In the center, we'll get the air vents, heated rear seats, USBs, and a home plug. Storage behind both of the front seats. Soft materials everywhere with the ultra suede that encloaks the door panels to make it more soft even into the back, which is not going to be the case in the Toyota bZ4X. Software needs to be here. Storage pocket that you can fit a beverage. Because the floor is more or less flat, feet space is not an issue because you can see the rails are pushed up quite a bit. Button shoulder space, because it is a smaller SUV, will be a little tight, but headroom even in the center is not going to be an issue. 308 horsepower, 320.7 pound-feet of torque with the combined from the front and the rear. 60 at 5 seconds. Let's see what we got. It doesn't. It's quick. Wow, it's quick. It feels a lot more sporty and athletic because of the combination of what you're getting in the interior than the Toyota also. The whole setup here, just because you've taken the NX redesign and threw in bits and parts and kept all soft materials throughout. The bZ4X has more harder materials. The gauge cluster sets up a little bit more. The dash setup also is just configured a little bit different, more towards the Prius side than a luxury or Lexus side, especially this center cluster. Very cleaned up. It doesn't feel like an EV inside. Very cleaned up inside. I feel like I'm more or less in a newer NX, especially with the steering wheel, how soft it is. I'm not trying to sound like I'm in love with the vehicle because by no means I'm one of those EV guys. But when I'm looking at what we're getting as a package, this does set a lot more luxury and sport attributes than the bZ4X. We're gonna try to set it as straight as possible and give her a go. These electric vehicles are no joke with performance because it's instant torque off the line. That's gonna take me to the pros and cons about the RZ. What I like about it is that it is more of a true all-wheel drive. You don't have 3 motors, you got 2 motors, a front and a rear, and the distributing of it is just pretty much equally rated. You have almost 200 pound-feet of torque in the front, and you have almost 130 pound-feet of torque in the back. It does sound like there's a little bit of a difference, but you also have to think of that curb weight that plays into it. In the interior, great job with the styling. Lexus nailed it. And This is the way an EV should look when you're paying 70 grand. The way the center cluster is, it's more cleaned up, and it still has that futuristic attribute, but it keeps the Lexus design in mind. So they didn't go to Mars, they kept it on Earth. For cargo space, you get more in this than you do the Toyota or Subaru. When you get the fully loaded or the luxury, you get acoustic windows around everything. It's gonna be the same thing in the bZ4X, but this one holds itself better. The suspension does feel a little bit more soft. And you have a little bit of a go-kart feel, but you have some dynamics behind it. So look what I mean by that. If you need to go, this thing is ready to engage. The MPG-E's is going to be a little less, so I dislike that, but I also expect that because it's a Lexus. Once you go into premium vehicles, you typically do not get the same MPG-E's. The range isn't going to be the greatest. This is a little less than 200. The charging, I'm against that because 10 hours, who sleeps 10 hours? So you will be plugging this up every night if you have to commute more than 40-50 miles. But if you're doing a daily in and out, I mean, this is a perfect blend type of vehicle, especially for luxury. I would not compare this really to a Tesla because the range, the paddle shifters will engage for that regenerative braking. So we're going to do, this is all the way at 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you use it as a daily, I don't think you're gonna be mad with using it full capacity to get as much for the regenerative braking. For more interior room, you wanna go to the Lexus because head and leg room is going to be better in each area, plus more cargo capacity. So all around, even though it's a little bit more money than the Toyota bZ4X, it's definitely worth the extra price point. The semi-autonomous driving works relatively well. You can get about 0.3 to 0.5 miles without really having to be engaged, but for full self-driving, it is not in the United States yet for the Lexus line, but the technology is already there. So over there updates, I can see that being just something that gets added on as the technology goes further. Turn radius, we will try to do a stop point, but there is people behind us, so we're gonna have to just do a roll. It is about 2 lane. Visibility is good. It's under 190 inches long, so as you saw for maneuverability purposes, it's fine. The seats are gonna be more comfortable in this than the Toyota, and even though we do not have a glove box, which is something I don't like, we still have a pass-through. So optimizing storage compartments, they've more or less done it, except for in the back it's going to be a little bit less because you only have really one area for a beverage holder. But for charging ports and fitting the family, you can do so. We got it in sport mode. Is there a difference in engagement, and how does it sound through the speakers? Well, now we're gonna really see in just a few seconds. It gives you that little sportness that filters through the stereo system. I like it. It's good. It definitely has a bit of a different tone. When you change it into Eco, the pedal's a little bit more heavy, and you can also do custom. But if you're trying to get in and out or get somewhere quick, putting it into sport will give you that soundtrack inside the vehicle. And I like the charms that Lexus brings because it's not all Subaru derived like it is in the Toyota. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, check out the next video, the merchandise website, Instagram, leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank Lexus of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2023 Lexus RZ450e for our car review. It's just butter smooth. Very quiet. So if you do go for a longer journey, say 100+ miles, it's gonna be enjoyable. You're not gonna be tired. Just charging 30 minutes?